Okay, we're here at level 3 of the complex. Just going to do a real quick walkthrough here so that anyone who is interested can see the setup. So this is what's called the block, featuring a couple of homebrew computers referred to as Cherry, not to be confused with Apple. And we're working on this this studio situation right here. Here's the news desk, which will be in front of these bookcases when we move them over on this wall. And then there'll be a camera that swings down from the ceiling so that I can get a shot of myself here or there against the bookcases. And all right, let's get to the business at hand. Well, here's the the workstation here. Can't really see much. Quite a few projects in midstream. Something I'm not looking forward to. And this table will go here, and so on and so forth. This unit here is going to be modified so that the iMAC, which is a little bit wider, as one can see, so these are going to have to be carved out, and some sort of an opening made on this side in order to gain access to the back of the unit where all of the interconnections are. But it's all pretty well drawn out on paper. So here's the problem. Wow, I did that in less than a minute. So here we go. Let's see how we're going to do this. That'll work. Alright, so this computer is brand new. The only thing that isn't brand new about it is the fact that after we got it out of the box and began the setup procedure, as it was going through the pages of the setup procedure, next page, next page, next page. Oh, now it wants us to sign up for iTunes and what is it, the App Store, and so on and so forth. And apparently all of these little gimbots are connected somewhere out there behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. When Dorothy pulls the curtain back, here's the wizard feverishly working away, this little squat toad-like man. Nothing like the Great Wizard, as he had promoted himself, or itself. I don't know really what his gender was. So where am I here? What we did was, because of the fact that once we get to the point where in the setup procedure we're asked to put in all of this social media, etc., I guess you could call it collusionary information, all of a sudden, despite the fact that at each and every previous page there had been a go back button, go back. Change your mind? Okay, go back. Change your mind? Go back. Once we get to this stage, which I didn't see because I am a little sightedly challenged, as we can see by this, and the type on a screen this large is very small, and I didn't catch the notification if there even was one, but the back button disappeared. So I had no choice but to go forward. Me not like, kimosabe. Why? Well, because this unit is to be strictly a non-internet connected, except for rare occasions. This is to be a workstation for editing. And as a matter of fact, let's take a look over here. I'm going to have to make a couple changes. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible without editing, because that's what this is for. It's for editing, higher end editing, which I'll explain in just a moment. Pausing. Okay, back again. I rethought this. I guess the easiest way to do this is to head on over to this computer here, which consists of the laptop and a large screen. This light is blinding. I don't think we need it. Well, I guess we don't need that either. The best laid plans, as they say. All right, what I'm going to do is, just by way of explanation here, for anybody that wants the whole picture, in order to be able to help out, we're going to go to Blackmagic Design, which has major Apple connections already. Okay, we got new from Louis Rossman. Apple and Customs stole my batteries that they won't even provide. Oh my gosh, he's at it again. Okay, let's get on with this. Blackmagic Design. And I will be using this. It's called DaVinci Resolve 15. And that's why I bought this computer. It's quite a program. Apparently it's going to take on Final Cut Pro and Adobe Premiere and some of the other ones, probably Lightworks. And now over here we have, well, I need to, so what I do is I punch this and I get the other computer. I said I get the other computer. IOBIT is, of course, nagging me as usual. Bye-bye. So now we have this particular computer down here is on these two monitors. It's probably not going to focus too well. As you can see, I have excuse me. I built these to be servers. So this is basically a server machine with slots 1, 2, 3, and 4 even. Same over here, except it's not operational. This was originally going to be an editing setup, and it never quite made it. We have a Canopus doodad there. All right, so anyway, yeah, these are mine, called Cherry, and I was going to sell these, and then it didn't work out, or I just got kind of busy. So there you go. There is the Cherry computer. In this computer we have a drive. Well, I'm going to have to shut this down. Oh boy, this is taking longer than I thought. Pause. Okay, we're back. I changed my mind. I'm not going to shut it down. We're going to take a look at the screen here and attempt to explain what's going on. So it took me a while. I haven't used, this is an XP machine, and the only reason that I keep it, I basically have to wet nurse it. It's a crippled install of XP that's about 10 years old, but all my email is on this machine. So unfortunately I just haven't had a chance to transmogrify, if that's the word. In other words, port over my email onto this one right here, which is kind of the main frame now. It's a T410 laptop, which won't, by the way, run DaVinci Resolve. That's why we have the new Mac, and that's why I'm in this got-to position right now, and it's kind of time sensitive as well. Alright, so what we have here is frequently used programs. I'll have to drag that over from the other monitor. So between using these three diagnostics, one of which is Partition Wizard, and it's going to ask me if I want, oh, yes it is, and I don't. So here's Partition Wiz. So I'm using that to work on these drives. I'm also using, well, I've had to use data recovery too. Good old HD Tune, which I'm sure people are familiar with. You can benchmark, you can do an error scan, it does quite a few things. And this one is a Russian program, which is also fairly well respected. And it's a bit difficult to figure out. Oops, I can't do that. Let's just get rid of these. And I guess I closed it, huh? Come back. This is a little daunting. You add tests. So you can do these things. Uh-oh, I think it's already started a test. Well, I don't really want to do that. Well, anyway, I don't have to get far down the rabbit hole, so I'm closing this off. So those three have to be used on this machine, but I can use them directly to the Mobo by sliding them in here. So there's one of them in here right now. So we're going to shut this machine down and take that one out and continue on from there. Turning it off here, boss. Yes, Virginia people are still using Windows XP Pro. Alright, when this shuts down, sometimes it's bulky and doesn't want to. There we go. And I may have to cold unboot it. It may get stuck on saving your settings forever. So the way we get around that, and it doesn't seem to cause any major harm, is we just hold the power button down for the usual 4 seconds, and there it goes. Now we can take this out of here, and I'll pause while that happens. Okay, I've now taken this out from in here. So it came out of here, and now we have it in hand and are going to move it over here. And in a moment it will be obvious why this is necessary. Now we need light again. These are legacy drives, and I have to use them because we are low on cash flow, dangerously low on cash flow. So there are two. This one is really quite a bit older than the one to the left. As one can see, it's a 76 gigabyte drive, and it's been wiped using those utilities that I showed you. This is an 80 gigabyte, and that's because what I used to like to do is keep these machines lean and mean as far as the operating system, and then the actual work produced would go on additional drives in these porta-boxes that I cobbled together. So as you can see, well, again, I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible. This goes in here. It's locked in. And pardon my bod here. So turn the drive on. And again, as I return. So let's get this one out of the way now that we've identified it. And we'll log in. Pardon the bod one more time. Didn't like it. Oh, okay. And we get the familiar message on the screen. This is the only way I can think to do this. Moving between computers without having the capacity to edit things, but it's doable, it's readable, acceptable. So I think probably the best thing to do is to put back in the cradle. Not that it's going to be that readable, but where it's necessary, I'll pull the camera out of the cradle and do a close-up. Right. Let's turn the mouse right side around here. And going to shut down. I'm going to need to shut down because I'm having a weird little aberration happen. When I restart and I hold down Command R to get into the disk utility, sometimes it won't do that. Mainly it won't. Let's see. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Don't use. Alright, I'm saying don't use. I hope that isn't a problem. I'm restarting. And I'm going to hit Command R until I see the gray raster in the background. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh-oh, I may not have gotten out in time. And I didn't. Doggone it. It's going to boot to the starting screen. And I think I'll have to do this again. Command R. I think I have to. The only way I'm able to get around this little loophole is by going to shut it down. Yeah, I don't understand that because the first few times that I did this operation, it went into no, I won't call it BIOS mode. I'm going to have to shut it down. Yeah, the very first few times I had no problem. Hold down Command R until the first time, the first number of passes, until you see the Apple logo. And then that stopped working. And then subsequently it stopped working entirely and I had to shut down. So here we go. Starting from a cold boot. Command R. That's interesting. I saw a quick apple waking down there. Now I don't see anything. Now it's blinking apples. Okay. I'm going to pause it while this is happening. Pausing. I just unpaused. It seems to be stuck, and this is the first time out as well. So I'm getting inconsistencies. I just saw the mouse pointer appear and disappear in the upper left-hand corner. Well, maybe it never has gone past the midsection here as it moves into the last phase. I don't know. There's a lot to think about, as Jane Fonda once said in her Jane Fonda workout tapes. And bingo. New York 2nd. Room service. Send up a utility. Here we go. Yeah, I'd like to get that flattened as well, find out what's going on, why I can't use the Command R the way that all of the online experts recommend. So now I don't have a mouse. Now I do have a mouse. I don't know if that's normal or not. Someone could give me a heads up on that one too. So we get into the disk utility. I don't understand why we do not see this drive. Well, already I'm confused. I need to know what the Apple disk image is. These need to be explained somewhere, and I don't know where to look. base system. Disk image is 2.01 gigabytes, so that doesn't tell me much of anything. And what happened to the other one? Oh, here we go. 1.29 gigabytes. So I'm kind of perplexed about that. And here are the volumes. Previously, I was able to see the actual WDC drive manufacturer and model number up here. So I'm a bit confused. So these are the kinds of things that I've been doing, according to the instructions I've been given, which remarkably agree, depending on whose video you were looking at or whose website. You know, there are hundreds, if not thousands of them, but they're all pretty significantly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that disk, leaving it untitled as suggested. Another thing I'm not sure about, I'm very confused about, is typically to format an entire disk it takes quite a bit of time. So this must be simply removing the first 63 sectors or some such nonsense. So it says it's done already. Then the next thing I'm to do is to restore it. What I want to do is I want to put this computer as it is, which has got no files on it. I've done no work. So zero work, zero programs loaded. The only thing that's happened, and I should at this point, I suppose, tell the backstory. Computer out of the box, cut the box, set it up, day later do the first setup, and that was what I was referring to and yapping about, that all of a sudden the back button disappeared. It would not let me out and forced me to do all of this sign-up-age. iTunes, what is it, the Apple Store, and so on and so forth, had wound up having to have 2 passwords in there, which really confused things, and has the 2 times that I've had to call Apple tech support. First time was Cora. Second time we have a guy by the name of Wilfred, who is my case person, my point person, who said that he would look into yet a different problem, which is when they send me emails, they come in with my wife's name. And he was going to call me on Tuesday, which he did. But I was not near my phone, my mobile phone, went to voicemail, and just as he said, the automated message said that Apple has called, contact your case person. Well, I can't because I don't have any direct way of doing that. So there are things that are really kind of annoying going on, and they seem to be piling up. But having said that, okay, after the first setup, now I've got these 2 passwords, neither of which are connected with the nomenclature, meaning I don't know what each one goes to or connects with. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the operating system after talking with Cora. I wanted to double check the instructions that I had seen in some of these WHYY videos and so on and so forth, which she agreed with. And she said what's going to happen is that we're going to go out online, there's going to be a handshake with the Apple servers, it's going to restore the computer exactly to the way it was right before I opened the box, meaning then that the last leg of setup is going to take place. All the preliminaries that were done on the assembly line, I'm going to have to wade through that, which I did, and then we get to the point where the box was opened and it finishes the setup. All of that happened pretty much like, what do they call it, Jake. Everything went fine. And it did load the original OS, which is High Sierra 13.2, not 6, but 2. So, well, I did that during business hours, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought I don't like doing this online because data collisions do happen, and I just wasn't feeling comfortable about that. I thought, well, if I did it once, I'll just do it again. I'll do it in the middle of the night when there's no activity around the complex here. People on workstations are doing things, which is exactly what I did. So that's the second imaging of the device. First time out of the box, no online. Second time online, we wind up with .2 of High Sierra. Third time, there's a charm, we wind up with .3. Now when I talk to Wilford, he says, well, that's what's going to happen. So there's an incompatibility between what Cora says, what Wilford says. I don't know what the key to that is, and if it's even important, just something for somebody to note, perhaps. But I did exactly the same operation, and the third time I wound up with 13.3, 13.6. And everything seemed fine, and that's where we are now, 13.6. No, I've done nothing except cruise around and refamiliarizing myself with the Apple, what do they call it? Ecosphere or something like that. It used to be called Platform. I was a very early adopter, as a matter of fact, going back to the day I was arguably one of the very first people that had a Mac 2 in Los Angeles. If anybody remembers the Mac 2, there's a whole story about that, which I won't go into. Okay, so what would I like to restore to Untitled? Macintosh HD. Oh, wait, before I do that, I'm told to change the title of the external drive, which is in yellow. I double check that. And change it to Macintosh HD. Or at least in the DIY video I saw, the person did the same changing procedure. He just had a different name. It didn't say Macintosh HD, so it must have been perhaps an earlier iMac. But I'm going to call it Mac, A-C-I-N-T-O-S-A, oops, H. Okay, Macintosh. Don't think so. Macintosh. Macintosh. Oh, brother. Need to go back to typing school. Macintosh. Mac in bun. Do-do-do-do-do. I'm loving it. Okay, and hit return. So this is according to, oh, well, I said I would do some close-ups. So now we have it the way the fellow said on one of the videos. Now, we head up here to restore, go to, we're restoring to. What would you like to restore to? This, which is that. And this is not yellow, it is gray. That's what we want to restore. Restore. Immediately we get this. Two versions of this. The first time it says not enough space, and I'm not sure I can get, there it is. And I'm not sure I can get it to reveal the other message. There are two that I have seen so far. The other one is someone has the drive in use, or words to that effect. Okay, now we're going to try, hello? Try it again and see if we get the same message or if we get the other one. Yeah, it's the same one, not enough space. All right, well, now I've got to do a little bit more qualifying here. This had the partition removed, ran diagnostics, basically using HDD scan, and also the mini tool that I earlier pointed out to. One could go back on the recording if one wants to see. And did a surface check. Surface check came out fine. not only a surface check. I actually erased the disk to Department of Defense standards. I don't remember the gibberish, but it's a pretty deep destructive action on the drive. And then ran HDD scan on it. It came out with flying colors, like a champ, which it should, because this was a brand new drive. It just had some movies stored on it for a matter of about 4 or 5 years. So it's just been sitting on the shelf with the movies prior to this operation. I'm going to pause this for a second and do the whole procedure again using this drive, which has also had the same thing. It's been erased to Department of Defense qualifications and double-checked. It's not as great a drive in terms of read-write. If one is not experienced with HDD scan, it actually goes through the entire drive and it gives you a color-coded representation of each sector. So there are no bad sectors on this drive, but because it was used for quite some time just as a normal drive in one of these computers over here, it doesn't perform as well. And that's not really, I don't think that's pertinent, because it has 0 bad sectors, and the next phase up, which is, I guess it's red squares, no red squares as well. Had a few that were in the read mode less than 150 milliseconds, and some other jazz going up the totem pole. So we're now 31 minutes. Well, it's still shorter than being on the phone with tech support. Hold on now, we're going to put the other drive in. Oh, so just to do this right, so we're getting out of disk utility. And it's not wanting to do that. Let's go with restart. I'm going to let the camera roll here and see what happens if we do Command R. The way it's explained in various videos is you hold Command R until we see the Apple logo, which I'm doing. This is taking a long time, and then let go. Alright, that time it worked. So I suppose that you just have to know the timings, which is a little flaky, if you ask me, but that's me with my Velvet Doberman hat on. One can go to thevelvetdoberman.com and see what that's all about. Another reason why I need this editing standalone workstation. Pausing. Okay, so we're back into the utility. I did not start this drive this time. So this is the one I was just talking about. Whatever the hell it was. Here's the Western Digital that we did a moment ago. It has now been removed, replaced with this drive.